This is from the Independent. It says, Tucker Carlson has some unique advice for his young male fans. Drop out of college and have more children than you can afford. The popular but controversial Fox News host, himself a bow tie wearing product of boarding schools, debate societies, and a liberal arts college, made the comments on Sunday. During the interview, Carlson and host Daniel Schmidt, a student at the University of Chicago, bonded over what the YouTube host called a pervasive amount of anti-white sentiment. Okay, so this is just a hit piece bouncing all over the place. That doesn't matter. What does matter is this clip, which has made the rounds online, and there are people that are upset about it as well, because Tucker Carlson said it, which means people are upset about it. But let's listen to the advice that he gives. Go ahead.
Achievement comes through commitment and responsibility. So my advice to young people, particularly young men, is just dive face first into it. Like, drop out of college. College is ridiculous unless you're moving towards some very specialized degree that you can only get in college if you want to be a veterinarian or a physicist or something. But if you're in humanities, I can give you a list of 100 books. You can find it on the internet, and you'll be better educated than you would be at whatever stupid college you go to. A. B, get married. And, choose wisely, but don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. People overthink it. Like, if you're compatible with someone and you can smell that, you can make it work. And by the way, it's never easy because men and women fundamentally don't understand each other. That's the whole joy in it. That's why marriage makes you grow, is because you don't really understand the other person. So you have to try every day to decipher what that person's saying. Have more children than you can afford. Take a job you're not qualified for. Like, go balls out. Just go balls out. I don't know. What is everyone waiting for? Have some adventure in your life. Do something crazy. I mean it. And I don't mean, go to Bali. Skip Bali, please.
Well, of course, people are upset about what he says there, the insight he provides, because it's true, right? And if you provide true insight into life, you're always going to upset people these days. Does it make sense that the same company who controls half of online retail also passively eavesdrops on your private conversations at home? What about the idea that a single company controls 90% of internet searches, runs your email service, and gets to track everything you do on your smartphone? Big tech is more powerful than most countries are, and they profit by exploiting your personal data. It's time to put a layer of protection between your online activity and big tech, and that's why I use ExpressVPN. Think about how much of your life is on the internet. Sadly, every site you visit, video you watch, message you send gets tracked and data mined. But when you run ExpressVPN on your device, the software hides your IP address, something big tech can use to personally identify you. So ExpressVPN makes your activity harder to trace and also harder to sell to advertisers. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of your internet data to keep you safe from hackers and eavesdroppers on your network. What I like most about ExpressVPN is how easy it is to use. You just download the app on your phone or computer, tap one button, and that's it, you're protected. And ExpressVPN does all of this without slowing your connection either. That's why it's rated the #1 VPN service by TechRadar, The Verge, and countless others. So stop handing over your personal data to the big tech monopoly who mines your activity and sells your information. Protect yourself with the VPN that I trust to keep me safe online. Visit expressvpn.com/WalshYT to get 3 extra months free. He touches on a couple of things there that are really important. The one that he says, don't overthink it when it comes to marriage. And this is a drum that I've been beating for years. And he's exactly right about that. And if you listen to people who are actually married and have been married successfully and are in happy marriages, there's wide agreement among actually married people. It's only the people that aren't married that are scandalized by this kind of thing. And that should tell you something. Because it doesn't mean that, you meet someone and you kind of like them, so you get married the next day. Okay, no one's saying that. We'll run off to Las Vegas and get married in a drive-through wedding after one day. No one is saying that. But if you meet them and you like them and you're attracted to them and you're compatible, and also you note that you have, your fundamental values align, which is something that you can discover about someone early on by actually talking to them. If you have real conversations with them rather than inane small talk all the time, you can discover all of that very quickly. And then at that point, you're like, what else is there to wait for? What are you waiting around? I mean, you can see these days people think, well, okay, I'm attracted to them, I like them, we get along, we're compatible, we have our fundamental values do align. But we need to date for 17 years, and we got to move in together. And because I have to know every last detail about this person. What if there are things about them that annoy me? Right? I got to find that out first. No, you don't need to find it out, because I'll tell you the answer right now. There are a ton of things that annoy you about that, because they're another person. They're a whole other human being. And so you're not going to be, compatibility is not going to be 100%. There are going to be difficulties. You're going to be bumping up against each other on various different topics all the time. That's just part of living with someone. You work through that. That's part of marriage. And the thing is, it doesn't even matter. Like, you can spend years with someone, getting to know every last detail about them, and then you say, okay, we're ready to get married, and you get married. Well, you still got to start, right? Eventually, you're going to have your first day of marriage. Doesn't matter how much time you spent with them ahead of time. Once you get married, you're married now. The game changes. You're a rookie. I don't care if you knew that person for 15 years ahead of time. You're basically in the same boat as someone who knew their spouse for 15 minutes, because now you're starting at square one. You got to start at square one. And you're going to have your first day of marriage together. And then the next day, and the day after that. And you got to put the work in every single day. It doesn't matter how good things seemed heading into it. If you're not willing to put the work in every day, then it's not going to work out. And then the other thing that he says that is another really important point that I'm always trying to stress is this idea of like having a sense of adventure. And I think that this was advice directed particularly at men. It applies to women too, but I think especially to men. Having a sense of adventure. And that's the point it makes about, have more kids than you can afford, take a job you aren't qualified for. The point is, it's not to be reckless. It's just to stop calibrating and triangulating and stalling all the time, which is what so many young people, young men especially, they waste early adulthood, young adulthood stalling, just waiting around for a sign from heaven that now you can move forward and actually live your life. At a certain point, you got to jump in and take some risks. Yeah, have a sense of adventure. Which means like move out of the house, go do something. Frustrates me to no end when I hear these young guys complaining even about, there's no jobs, there's no opportunities around where I live. Or there are no people, there's no women, there's no good women around where I live, which there probably are, but you haven't looked hard enough, or you're looking in the wrong places, but whatever. Okay, even if that's true, then move somewhere else. You're a young single guy. If you're a young single able-bodied guy, you have no dependents, you have no serious responsibilities in life. Now, there could be some complicating situations for some people. Maybe you have an ailing parent that you can't move away from. Okay, if that's the case for you, then that's different. But if that's not the case, if you don't have anyone dependent on you, and you're young and single and a man, and you're able-bodied, then you can go anywhere and try anything. Just move, go somewhere. If it doesn't work out, go somewhere else. Worst case scenario, you get to work, I can't find a job. Okay, so you're living out of your car for a few weeks, whatever. You're fine, you'll survive. That's the adventure. That's the kind of thing that, you do things like that and you take risks. And then later on in life, those are the kind of stories you tell your kids and your grandkids. But I think for a lot of people, they're never going to have any stories because they spent their 20s. What are you going to tell your grandkids about? All the time you spend in your mom's house playing video games? You're not going to have any grandkids anyway. So I think that's a great moment there from Tucker Carlson. If you want to join my exclusive fan base or a cult, that's what it is, we're forming a cult, then all you got to do is click the subscribe button and ring the bell below this video to stay up to date with all my content. And if you want even more, you can watch or listen to my show at thedailywire.com, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Looking forward to welcoming you to the Sweet Baby Gang.